anything. I thought, you know what? Look, everybody that's watching. This is my first time using StreamYard. I'm more of a Zoom guy, and I know you guys are used to us doing IG Live and everything, but was the spirit of submission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, you actually had a few videos, and not even just a few videos just on the topic of submission, but you pretty much just speak on submitting, period.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a new day, Chantel. We're in a new day of what people are calling the modern woman. Now, the modern woman works. She has a
Mm-hmm.
job. She got a 9 to 5. The modern woman is making money, 6 figures. Some even making 7. Some are just pretty much just middle upper class. So now that we actually have two parties bringing home the bacon, now the question is, Chantel, is submission even, is it considered overrated? Is it even necessary? But before we go ahead and go into that layer, let's go ahead and go to layer number one. So I'll go first. Like submission to me as a man is pretty much having a woman be emotionally available to me, and also I would say showing encouragement whenever I'm down, help be a cheerleader, you know, and also I would like to say that my third one here is actually like a huge big one here. So I got a little notepad here. Sexual satisfaction, which
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of men's favorite. So that's considered submission or even respect if there's a thin line. But if you want to break it down on your end, what is submission for you?
I would consider submission just allowing your man to lead. Allowing him to make the decision and then you just giving yourself over to him fully.
Modern times, modern woman, modern man. They're both working. So is submission overrated?
No, because submission has nothing to do with finances and who is bringing in any money. I think even if you are, say, making more than your man, that should not negate the fact that you allow him to lead and you dedicate yourself to
A
him.
lot of people who are in, we'll just say the 50-50 relationship,
Mm-hmm.
they're most likely just saying like, well, if we're both putting in some of that submission, or I'm not going to use the word respect yet, may get pulled back a little bit. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
pretty much already heard people are talking, couples, especially on the men's side, talk about how they may not get enough sex, especially in a marriage. Why? Because one party came home from work just like the other party. If they are supposed to be, expected to cook, why should they also be expected to also be giving it up in the bedroom? They're just as tired as you. So, could you speak on that for a minute? Should you still, as a woman, if you're married, let's just say we're married, you tired, had a long day, and you just cooked,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you should still satisfy me, or should you just be like, you know what, I love you, babe, uh, but I'm tired?
I mean, yeah, that depends. If you're tired, you're tired. Um, I know men can handle stress a lot more than women can, even though the feminist movement tries to tell us that we're equal to men. So
Yeah.
a man can go out and work 50, 60 hours a week and come home and still have the energy, still have the ability to perform certain tasks. A woman can't do that. So we're going out working the same 50, 60 hours a week and then coming home having to cook, take care of the household duties, and then having to sexually please our men. It can be
Mhm.
draining to our bodies. That doesn't mean that we don't submit to our men or we withhold sex from them. It's just that's just a basic conversation with your spouse, and hopefully you vetted as a woman, hopefully you vetted and chose a man who understands female nature and understands that men and women aren't equal.
Is there a thin line between submission and respect, or are they pretty much going hand in hand?
Yeah, definitely. Going, you can't submit to someone you don't respect.
Because a lot of people will argue, oh, no, no, I can still respect someone without being so-called submissive, especially to my man. Because at work, we're respective of our colleagues or even our bosses.
Hmm.
But when we get home, submission is pretty much, we'll just say, fulfilling a desire or a favor. But like you said, if we are not equal, one person should be able to just be like, yo, look, you need to, I really need my desires filled. I need my sexual or whatever. I need this filled.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying no, people are going to look at that as like combative. Let's just say I don't want to take you out anymore. I'm too tired to take you out. I'm not talking about shopping. I'm talking about entertaining you, showing you a good time, giving you non-sexual attention.
Mm-hmm.
When I do that for you, is that me being submissive onto you?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I know some people can argue that, both men and women submit to each other, and it's just a different kind of submission. So if you taking your wife out to show her a good time because you know that that's what she like, then yeah, it could be a form of
I
submission.
was making the point like it sounds like this is more like a black owned conversation because I really
That
don't hear the topic of submission being spoke about anywhere else. It's almost
mm-hmm,
just like a black, like we own this talk. Like we
mm-hmm,
make the word submit so freaking damn evil. So I was
mm-hmm,
just pretty much wondering, you already heard, or you already kind of already see some people will pretty much go ahead and just play the little princess or play like I don't want to say the Betty Mel or whatever, but I'll just say they play the gentleman to everybody else. But when it comes to one another, we have this issue of like we do not want to do something for each other. Like I would submit to him if he had this or if he had that, or what would I look like taking this girl out? What I look like showing this girl a good time and being a gentleman if she ain't hooking it up for me? What
mm-hmm.
is the like? Why is there a tit for tat when it just comes to the conversation of submission or even just respect, period, amongst black people?
I think it's just a lack of understanding. Many of us as black women, we did not see that representation in the household, and black men too.
Mm.
Being raised by a single parent, we did not see the dynamic. We didn't see the masculine and feminine energy, the roles. So to say, oh, I'm going to submit if that tit for tat is a misunderstanding, and then it's also entering these relationships with our guards up because we can't trust because of the trauma from our
Mm.
past. That's why it's important to heal first before even having these conversations, because you can't have these conversations with people who are so guarded, with people who don't trust the opposite side.
Now you mentioned most of us who have actually been raised in a one-parent home. I was one of them, but my mom was married like I think y'all don't laugh. I think this is my mom's third marriage.
Oh God.
But it's the last one. It's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. When we're talking about, when you were raised in a one-parent home, single parent home, whether it's by the mom or by the dad, there is a lack of seeing the example of trust. So I want you to name three qualities about a man to where a woman should be able to go ahead and lift the wall up to enable trusting.
Well, I mean, I can't say to lift your wall up. I think you should go into the relationship with your wall already lifted without knowing anything about him, because if you enter
Ooh.
yeah, if you enter that initial date with you being guarded, the date is not going to work. It's not, because so definitely enter the date with your wall down and then vet him to figure out if you should put your wall up. I think we do that backwards. We enter in with our wall up and then we vet to see if we should drop our wall. But if we have our wall up, we're not being our authentic self, and then we can't see the person for their authentic self if we have our wall
No,
up.
the reason why, because I got a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of women who are broken, but a lot of women who were burned, who were hurt in the
Mm,
past, and you know
mhm,
what? They still hold on to that, and
mhm.
they're slowly trying to go ahead and trust again, but they just don't know how because they don't want to be hurt. And to give ladies the benefit of the doubt, some dudes look for that vulnerable woman. They look for that hurt woman because they know how to play the game. They know how to, unfortunately, they know how to manipulate. They look for women like her. And the sad part is there's too many women like that right now. And to
Girl,
end up finding a guy, like you said, to end up finding a guy that does not play games, there must have been something authentic about that man where he'd be like, oh wait, he's a he's a real one.
because like you can't go into these relationships hurt. Like you can, even on the
Mm.
initial date, you can't go on the initial date hurt and expect for it to work out, because you on the initial date is going to be like your what's the word, interrogating him instead of trying to get you
I
know
know. I'm making it an interview and shit.
Yeah,
Yep.
I went into the initial date genuinely trying to get to know him, not trying to vet him and say like, "Oh, do you do this or do you do that?" But just really trying to get to know him as a person. And
Mm.
I mean, yes, I have been hurt too. I can tell the stories, but I choose not to dwell on that. I choose not to lead with my hurt. Instead of, I lead with hope. Like I lead with the fact that I want a man who is can step up to the plate, who is masculine, who can be the qualities that I want. um I lead with that. I don't lead with the fact that my exes weren't that.
Stories on like, damn, every chick I come around is just really just a freaking cop, a damn fed. They are really asking me all these questions about, so how many girls you slept with?
uh
How many baby mamas you got? How many kids you got and everything? I'm sure he's been there, and Lord knows I've been. You know what? I think it's probably one of the reasons why I got married because I got tired of that shit.
you
Nah,
know
that ain't one of the reasons.
and I want to clarify, vetting is important. So asking the questions are important. But like, I was asking questions like, what's your religious belief? Like how many like, what's your political belief? Like, how do you feel about this? What do you think your role in a marriage is? Not the questions like, oh well, how many baby mama you got? Not, well, I mean, that question is important. Let me let me back up. That question is important.
It
But
is.
not the
It's
questions
legit.
like, oh, how many women you slept with, or how many, like, not those questions to trip him up, but the questions to really get to know him.
Okay, the vetting process. Now the thing is this: you have now, even when you've been in the space
Mm-hmm.
for the past 3 to 4 years. Actually, no, I wouldn't even say 3 to 4 years. I think I want to say maybe for like the past 2 years. A lot of folks have eventually been putting an emphasis on vetting, but
Mm-hmm.
not much of it is happening. It's not. And if it is happening, most men just know how to respond. And I really don't want to go here, but I got to because this is a raw inclusive and we keeping it real. And I don't want to go into a mode where I'm getting people in trouble though. But I do want to hear from on your end when you go into the vetting process, how can you tell that this dude is a real one compared to the dudes that know how to play a game, know how to answer the questions that you're going to like bring? Because all we got to do is agree with some of the stuff you say, and bam, we have your heart.
He vetted me.
Ooh,
Men, it's a bigger risk. Marriage and dating and relationship is a more bigger risk than it is for women. And he was different. He stood out from other guys that I've dated because of the questions he asked. He was asking the questions. He was asking his future, the mom of his kids, kind of questions, and you can
oh,
tell, you know he was asking his wife, I mean, the person who's going to sign his emergency contact. He was asking, you can tell that he was asking those questions as opposed to just asking me the basic questions, like, like, oh, where are you from? He was asking like, what religion do you identify with and why? So
yeah.
that definitely stood out to me, because that showed that, okay, he wanted something more than just casual dating. And I think he's just paying attention. And to answer your question, how can we be sure that he's not just one of those regular guys who's going to waste your time? Like attract like, and water seeps at its own level. And I know I did the work, so I knew anybody who I was attracting in my life did the work too. And if they didn't, it's easy for me to find out. It would have sorry, it would have been easy for me to see that, oh yeah, this person didn't do the work, because I did the work and I know what it looks like when you did the work.
Hmm. You know what? Thank you for bringing that up because you just highlighted the one thing that I try to let my supporters know when it comes to how you know a dude is a real one. Like you said, he asked you the questions that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
He had a requirement out of you. He wanted to basically know how you felt about being in a committed relationship. What is marriage to you? Do you want to be married or do you want to be a wife? It's two different things. Or do you want to be a mother? See, ladies, how many of you guys out there are really bringing up those requirement questions? And the thing is, I get it. Some dudes out there kind of have to get the gab. I was one of them. I'm sorry, I'm telling on myself. But I also, like I said this before, I carried myself in a way that was not marriage material back in the day. It's just like you could just kind of tell what I was about. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like if we had a talk right now and you was vetting me, I pretty much would have been like, you know what, this conversation is cool and everything. I understand you're vetting me, but I'm trying to figure out what you're doing on Friday later on. Like that's what I was doing. Like I wasn't trying to go into the whole marriage thing. And plus, I was young. I was like in my early 30s. I wasn't really thinking about marriage as of yet, or late 20s actually. I should say. I really wasn't there yet. But thank you for bringing that up because you made it a point that he had a requirement out of you, where you asked about what being submissive means to you.
Yes, he most definitely. We did have that conversation about submission, and as I said, we had the conversation about roles, expectations in a relationship and in a marriage, and that whole submissive word came up, and that's how I knew we were aligned because not a lot of men. We can talk about modern women, but there are also modern men. The guy I dated before him was a 50-50 guy who wanted me to stay in my corporate job and prioritize my career over my family. Um, and I knew that just wasn't going to work out. So in dating him and having him say like, hey, you can have your businesses, you can have your career, but know that your family is going to come first, and know that he's the one who's going to make the decisions in the household. In the household. That's how I knew, okay, this is it. Because I think the disconnect is a lot of us will get into relationships with people who we're not aligned or views aren't aligned. If I was to stay in
Mm,
a relationship with the guy before him who was wanted that modern woman, who wanted that strong independent, and he literally said it. He literally said he wanted that strong independent go-getter. If I was to stay in
mm,
a
mm.
relationship with a guy like that, knowing that I want to be a more traditional submissive wife, I know it wouldn't have worked.
Were you familiar with, I believe it was the lead attorney, and I think her name is April Mason. Is that the woman that she
Mhm.
dropped out of coaching women? Is that her? I think that's her name.
Yeah. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I want to say it was them two that were talking on the panel. I really can't remember, but I remember her making the point that if men want a submissive woman, that they got to create a submissive environment, meaning you must be picking up 100% of the load to the point where I'm the only thing that I can do is cater to you.
Mm.
So if basically if the relationship is 100-0, then I can pretty much be your sixth kitten. I got time to cook. I got time to like take care of the kids. They're done. They're all I played them out and their energy is
Mm.
drained or whatever. So now I actually have time to be with you later on. So how do you feel about that? Should men really basically bring home the majority of the bacon and create an environment for a woman to just come in and just let her full-time job just to be submissive?
No, because if you think about it logically, things happen, right? So look at how the pandemic hit the other day, right? So say he
Yeah.
was bringing in 100% of the bacon, and the pandemic hit, and then he's no longer bringing in 100% of the bacon. Are you all of a sudden not feminine? And if we know about the femininity and submissive woman, it's not something you can turn on and off. So to have that requirement to say, oh, if I'm going to be submissive, you have to be bringing home most of the bacon, like that's me, you're not true feminine. And to her point though, I understand where she's coming from, because as I said, there are a lot of modern men who want you to go out and work as equally as they are, and then still come home and cook and take care of the kids and do all of this, and then turn around and sexually please them at night. And as I said earlier, stress, we handle stress differently than men. Men can probably do that. We can do that to be going at a job that's so stressful, and then have to come and deal with the at home stress, and then have to do, you know so I get where she's coming from, in a sense where, okay, if you want me to be feminine, be masculine and provide, but not in a sense where, oh, if you're not providing, then I can't be feminine. If eventually my businesses take off and I am the quote unquote breadwinner, it doesn't mean that he's no longer the head of the household and he's no longer the one that's making the decision. It just means that the joint account that we have, it's, we have more money in there.
Let me. This is the raw clues, so I gotta ask this. Is let's see, how can I word this without being offensive to my supporters because y'all iffy. My supporters is like they'll be like Reese, I don't know about that. But then they'll be like, okay, good job, Reese. I gotta give me a minute. Now I'm just gonna go, y'all. Well, y'all should know me by now. Shit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ask it the only way I can ask it. Are women only to be submissive to a man that is sexually attractive?
No, no, of course not. I think
Why?
attraction.
Why?
That wouldn't even make any sense because we have these men who are sexually attractive and they're the pookies and ray rays who can't even do anything. You can't even change a light bulb if you ask them to.
Yeah,
But
they could do some other stuff though.
and I think that's looking at it from a very narrow point of view. I think of course some attraction is necessary in the relationship, but to say, oh, my husband is fat, so I'm not going to be submissive to him, very juvenile, and again misunderstanding the whole idea of what submission is and what femininity is.
Yeah, but that's what the big deal is because a lot of men will just say when like kind of like what women say, there's no good men. What men are hearing is like, oh, there's no physically attractive men that you consider your type for you to basically respect and honor and yada 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 yada. So a
Hmm.
lot of men will pretty much feel a lot of men who I don't want to, I don't want to, I'll just say it's screw it. A lot of men who pretty much feel that they are not in a certain woman's league
Mm.
actually really think about it like that. Like for instance, they'll say like, okay, you won't give me the time of day, but if Lil Wayne or if Drake hollered at you or whatever, you'll be like, phew, hell, even if Future hollered at you, you'll have his baby because that's shit. That's what's been happening.
Hmm.
But that's what like your average man sees. So when they gravitate, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there. When men gravitate to your channel, they're actually seeing, what they desire. They see a pretty, beautiful black woman, who is very respectable, who's honorable, who's articulate, and very feminine. That's
Mm.
it. They really don't run into a lot of women like yourself outside of YouTube. They don't. They don't. And you know what? And you guys actually believe that too, because that's why you guys will always talk about femininity and being respectful and basically trying to unite us as one when it comes to committed relationships and even marriage. It's
Hmm.
very, very obvious. But the thing is, these men are not running into the women outside to the point where it's like, well, YouTube is pretty much like the only place where I can kind of fulfill my fantasy. So I'm
Mm.
gonna watch Danica Marie. I'm gonna watch, Chantelle Simone, and I'm gonna watch. Okay, I just ran into like this cute light skinned chick with dreads. I don't know, I can't remember her name, but
Mm.
she was talking with O'Shea Drew Jackson. I think they had like a talk about or should women be allowed in the manosphere. But yeah, she cute too. But they see these women
Hmm.
and they can't touch them. They have no way of getting that. So it's like, I'm sorry, Chantel. It's like I'm not banging on the dudes or anything like that. I'm not banging them on them like that. But you see what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
guys, to them, you don't exist. You're not tangible in their world. When they go out, they don't see women like yourself. But then again, I switched environments, so I ended up seeing it all the time.
Hmm.
So when you end up gaming up the men about, hey, what do you think men should do in order to be more respectable so they can attract that femininity and that submission?
I can't tell you. I don't know. As I said, I have girl talks. I focus on how I can be better. I don't try to hold men accountable. I think men
Uh,
do a good job at holding men accountable and telling you your pointers. I mean, I can tell you what I'm attracted to. I'm attracted masculine. I'm attracted to that assertive energy.
oh.
Those men who say what they say and mean what they say and don't budge because of a woman's feelings. Um,
Mhm.
but in order to say men do this, do that, I don't think that's my place to hold men accountable.
Yo, but you know what, Chantel, you already did it. You,
Mm.
what you just said was what you were attracted to. Number one, being masculinity. Second, be assertive, have goals, be a go-getter.
Mm.
Be responsible. Thank you, Chantel. You did it. You did it, and I think that's what it is. We have a lot of men. I already got burned by some supporters of the Black Manosphere because I made a point that a lot of brothers are lazy. Because if you
Mm.
got time to complain, it means that you really not. It really means that you have a whole lot of time on your hands to
Mhm.
to complain. You're not working. You're not being productive. You're not doing you. And I'm not saying like take heat from a lot of chicks and take damage from a lot of chicks until you get yourself together. I was just making the point like when you do you and you work on being the best version of you, when you get there, the climate of women are going to change and certain women are basically going to come at you, with a different energy. if they
Mm-hmm.
see something whack about you, especially when you come up to them, because they're, like women like yourself are going to be like, okay, why in the hell did I just attract this guy? Why is he coming over here? A lot of men don't understand that. They think something is wrong with them because this dude is stepping to you. Like, am I looking dusty today? Why am I attracting dusties? Even
Mm-hmm.
though we know there's some dusty chicks out there, but that's literally how they think. They don't get it. And then you got some men who got it together. Six figures or whatever. They're very well kept, very well established, but they just don't know how to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're nervous. They don't have the confidence, and sometimes that could be a little bit of a turn off to women. I thought girls probably thought like a dude who stutter or was nervous to chop it up with you. I thought y'all thought it was cute. I I guess y'all don't think it's cute no more. Like this dude really nervous talking to me. I really thought y'all thought that was cute because I used to be that like I used to be like, hi, I'm Reece. I'm Reece. I used to be that guy like 10
Yeah.
whatever years ago. I used to be that guy. I thought y'all thought that was
Mm-hmm.
cute, but I guess not. But moving on. I wanted to go ahead and get a little bit deeper to you, corresponding with your live. Now, it was very interesting because I actually made a video back in the day talking about the single coach versus the married coach, but you're not really a coach. You're more like a commentator, on social dynamics of dating and relationships like myself. Now, it was interesting how you brought up like if I'm not in a relationship or if I'm not married, should I still be able to tell A, B, and C? And I thought about it and I was like, well, just because you never really rode a bike doesn't mean that you might not still be able to give some people a little bit of lessons on how not to bust their ass. It's like you kind of
Mm-hmm.
like have the idea. It's kind of like common sense. It really is. It really is common sense. So why would somebody have to be in a relationship or being married just to like let folks know, throw your, be a little bit more feminine and you'll attract?